Hello everybody, and welcome back to a postscript. As you will know by now, I was not present for our Sunday Remembrance service. I've been on continuing education, and technically I still am, but I also don't want to miss out on an opportunity to share, reflect, and be present with you during this week. I'm having to be flexible with regards to continuing ed. It's a busy season for us, and sadly there have been some losses and transitions in our community, and that kind of calls us all to be present above and beyond what we may have scheduled to be present for. I thought, though, as concerns remembrance, in the United States it's known as Veterans Day, and I was thinking how significant memorials are in not just our community, but in all human communities. They are an important way that we commemorate, that we honor, that we remember. Okay, in fact, you could say that every ritual we engage in the church is a kind of affirmative memorial, right? We're remembering things that have been done. We're reflecting on things that we have done or could have done or didn't do. And we're imagining what the world would be like if we stepped up and were inspired by the examples of the past. However, in a more critical way, I got to thinking about what is the difference between memorialization and fetishization. And let me tell you what I mean when I say fetishization. It's a word that comes from psychoanalysis, and it means a variety of things depending on context. I mean it such that we place a level of importance on an act or something that it threatens to overwhelm or subsume other things that we are committed to. And so, while in Canada, I haven't experienced this so much, coming from my context in the States, there tends to be what we might call a politicization of memorial acts, and there's a certain kind of enthusiasm that some people critically refer to as saber rattling. And I'm mindful that as a Christian, I'm a part of a global network of persons practicing and affirming their faith and trying to live and walk in the footsteps of Jesus. Where is the tension between forms of memorial and forms of remembrance and an acknowledgement of our present day realities? Let me be more concrete. For Remembrance Sunday, there's an acknowledgement, I think specifically in this context, of World War II. I come from a country that's been involved in a lot of wars since then. And as a minister who seeks to follow the example of Jesus and encourage others to do the same, I do not want us to practice war anymore. I want to abolish it, the way Einstein said, right? I don't want to try to humanize inhuman acts. And an act of war, one nation acting aggressively towards another nation, is something that I can't stand by. It doesn't mean that I can't acknowledge the complexity of human affairs in the world, of course. But at the end of the day, Christ has to be my plumb line. Christ has to be that against which I measure and through which I reflect on my activities and the activities that I support that others are undertaking. Many of you will be aware of the United Church's stance as it concerns war and as it concerns what's happening now in Gaza and in Sudan and in Congo. There are efforts made by our denomination to effectively state and make very clear their opposition to these violent engagements. So while we remember those that served and sacrificed, being married to a veteran myself, I can fully appreciate all that went into that decision. I also want to remind us that remembering and hoping and praying and working for peace is essential so that nobody else ever has to go away to war. That's the world that I'm working for. And it's the world that I want to invite you to consider how you can be a part of making, because I do think it is our only way forward. If we continue to fight each other, the eye for an eye will leave us blind, as Gandhi said. We cannot afford to not practice forgiveness and to not practice peace. So I encourage you to consider that on this, second day following Remembrance Sunday and the day after Remembrance Day itself. So I hope you've enjoyed this reflection, and I look forward to seeing you next week.